agreed to, and I call the member for Fremantle.
Thank you, Speaker, and I'm glad to speak on this motion. The issue of waste and recycling is very important. The problem of waste in Australia, in our world, is a massive problem. It's also a big opportunity. We can move towards a more sustainable set of arrangements, and by doing so, we can see new industry and new manufacturing created. But it's a big problem because it's a fundamentally broken market. It's good to hear the member for Goldstein espouse his credentials as a sort of a free marketeer. I mean, if you're a free marketeer, you'd look at the circumstances worldwide and in Australia when it comes to waste and recycling, and you'd run through all of your hankies, having a very bitter weep because this is a profoundly broken market where companies produce items according to a linear model. The resources get used once, turned into things that are often disposed after very brief use, and then they get left in our environment. The cost falls on all of us. And until we address that broken market, we're going to see more of the same. We're going to see continuation of the 8 million annually of plastic that go into the ocean, that accumulate in fish and birds, and that are finding its way into ourselves. You know, we've seen nanoparticles of plastic falling as rain. We are finding plastic in species that live in the deepest ocean trenches on the planet. So until we do something about that, it's going to keep getting worse. A circular economy is a sustainable economy. It does mean that we use the limited resources we have better, and we need to do more of that. Now, the government's made a big song and dance about waste and recycling, and it's essentially done that as a fig leaf to cover its failures in other areas of environmental stewardship. Again, the member for Goldstein talks about environmental stewardship. We've seen precious little of that from this government after 3 terms and 3 prime ministers and 9 years. It presides over a failed environmental protection framework that is seeing more and more Australian species pushed to the edge of extinction, and it has taken no action on climate change. But along it comes with this zeal for waste and recycling, but sadly, despite sprinkling money here and there and making announcements and talking a good game when it comes to the circular economy, it's failed when it comes to waste and recycling too. And the facts, numbers don't lie, as is always the case. Australia barely recycles 10% of our plastic. That has not changed under this government. If you think about the big pieces that need to be addressed, infrastructure on the one hand, product stewardship on the other, and there's been literally no new infrastructure created under this government to deal with processing material and recycling material for reuse. The $100 million recycling investment fund that the member for Goldstein mentioned didn't advance a single dollar until just recently, and then it only advanced funds to a project that was already going ahead. None of the new infrastructure facilities that have been agreed with the states and territories have been delivered. There's been no new co-regulatory product stewardship schemes. If you look at something like APCO, which is a voluntary scheme, it hasn't even been accredited yet. It has targets like trying to achieve 20% of incorporation of recycled material into plastic packaging by 2025. So only 20% is its target. Where are we sitting now? We're sitting at 4%. We are doing abysmally when it comes to these things. And it's because the government essentially has been late to the game. It's taken a hands-off approach. Its initiatives have failed. The funding mechanisms haven't seen a dollar landed. We've switched off the export of mixed plastics, which is a good thing. It was forced on us by the decision of other countries that would no longer take that low-quality waste. The reality is we've got nowhere for that 75,000 tonnes of mixed plastics to go. If you talk to people in the industry at the moment, they will tell you quite openly that that mixed plastic is going into landfill. So this is the government that crows about what it's done when it comes to waste and recycling. What it's done is it's recognised the realities internationally when it comes to not being able to send our low-quality contaminated waste to be burnt and thrown into rivers in other countries. It hasn't introduced one operational piece of infrastructure yet, and mixed plastics will be going into landfill. So we We need less talk. We need fewer fig leaves. We need less of the tricked up self-congratulation and more cold-eyed focus on the failures of this government when it comes to waste and recycling.
The